The chapel organ played a slow hymn. In the back of the parking lot, a young woman sat alone in her car. Ashley's grandfather was being laid to rest inside. Her family had told her she wasn't welcome.
I was his favorite. They wouldn't let me say goodbye.
The dashboard clock read 2:15. Inside, the service began. She could only listen to the muffled organ. Through the stained glass came the pastor's voice. Then in her mind, another voice, cold and final.
We think it's best if you don't come. Mom and Dad's children need private space.
I was the one who held his hand in the hospital.
In her lap lay a folded letter, her grandfather's last words, written when he could still hold a pen. The letter began, "My dearest Ashley, when this day comes, know that you were the light of my later years." As the organ faded, she pressed the letter to her heart, the only connection left to the man who had raised her 2 days earlier. In her small apartment, 80 miles away, Ashley's phone buzzed against the kitchen counter. The caller ID displayed a name that made her stomach drop. Aunt Carolyn.
Hello.
Ashley, we need to have a conversation about your place at the funeral.
My place? I've already bought my plane ticket. What's there to discuss?
We've decided you shouldn't attend. This is a private service for the immediate children, the ones who were actually raised by their mother.
Raised by my mother? You mean the woman who left me with Grandpa because she couldn't handle her life? He was more my parent than she ever was, and he would want me there.
Your mother's shame has no place in that church. Don't turn this into a spectacle. The answer is no.
Carolyn, please. You can't do this.
The line went dead. Ashley stood frozen in her kitchen, the dial tone whining, and felt the last door to her grandfather's slam shut. Ashley stood in the kitchen long after the call ended. Then something in her chest hardened. She wouldn't let Carolyn decide how she said goodbye.
If they won't let me inside, I'll be outside. Grandpa will know.
She walked to the bedroom closet and pulled open the door. The black dress hung waiting, still with the tags on.
He gave me this charm the day I turned 18. Said it was for the door to wherever I belonged.
From the same drawer, she pulled out the folded letter. Raymond's words, written when his hand still held steady. The letter ended. "Do not let them make you believe you were anything less than my whole heart."
I will be there, Grandpa. I promise.
She laid the dress, the letter, and the wooden charm into a small suitcase. Tomorrow, she would drive to the church.
They can ban me from the pews, but they can't erase what he meant to me.
She zipped the suitcase closed. In the mirror, her eyes held the weight of someone who had already made her peace with the worst. The morning before the funeral, Ashley drove the familiar roads to her grandfather's small house on Maple Street. The house sat silent under a gray sky. A new padlock gleamed on the front door, and a note was taped below the knocker. The note read, "Property of the Raymond estate. Access restricted to immediate family only. Inquiries to Carolyn."
He changed the locks the week before he died, so I'd always have a key. Carolyn must have come the next day.
She sank onto the porch steps, and 12 years fell away. She was 14 again, sitting at Raymond's workbench, watching the curl of wood under his chisel.
You've got a steady hand, Ash. Wood doesn't lie. Treat it right, and it'll hold.
That was the year her mother Susan had disappeared again, leaving Ashley with an empty refrigerator and a note that said, "Be back soon."
He never asked me to be grateful. He just made sure I had dinner, clean clothes, and someone to say goodnight.
In his workshop, surrounded by the scent of pine and varnish, she found the stability her mother could never give. She opened her eyes, back on the cold porch. The note still hung there, but the house behind it wasn't his anymore. The memory of the workshop faded, but another rose to take its place. The hospital room, 6 months before. Raymond lay in the hospital bed, an oxygen tube beneath his nose, his silver hair wispy against the pillow.
He never looked scared. Even then, he smiled when I walked in.
Come sit, sweetheart. I was just thinking about that cedar box we made when you were 16.
He reached under the pillow and pulled out an envelope. The paper was crumpled at the edges.
Take this. Don't open it until the day of the funeral. Promise me.
I promise, Grandpa. What is it?
Just a few things I need you to remember. Keep it close, Ashley, no matter what happens.
She tucked it into her coat pocket, feeling the crisp edges press against her chest, not knowing it would be the last time they spoke. Now on the cold porch, she touched the same letter through her coat. That promise was all she had left. The funeral morning dawned pale and still. In a small motel room near the church, Ashley stood before the mirror. She fastened the pearl studs, Raymond's gift for her 20th birthday. Her fingers trembled just slightly. The black dress fell neatly over her shoulders. She adjusted the small bow at the collar, then met her own eyes in the glass. From the nightstand, she picked up the folded letter. She pressed it to her lips, then slipped it into her coat pocket. In the car, she opened the local paper's online obituary. Raymond's photograph smiled out, and the words, "Service at 2 p.m." She drove through the quiet streets. The little wooden leaf charm he carved for her swung gently from the rearview mirror. The stone chapel rose against the sky. Her hands tightened on the steering wheel. The parking lot was already half full with dark-clad mourners. She chose a spot at the far edge. Under the shade of an old oak, she killed the engine. The only sound was her own breath, and the distant first notes of the organ.
This is as close as they'll let me get. But you'll know I am here, Grandpa.
Through the windshield, she surveyed the parking lot. Carolyn's silver sedan sat near the church steps. Then the other family cars. Carolyn herself stepped out, adjusting her pearls, her face a polished mask of ceremony. She didn't glance toward the oak tree.
There they go. The real family. Not one of them replied to my message.
The heavy oak doors swung shut. Inside, the organist began the first notes of the funeral hymn, muffled through the stone. Ashley didn't move. The letter lay open in her lap, her thumb resting on his signature.
If I can't be inside, then this car is my pew. The parking lot is my chapel.
The organ swelled into a hymn that every child of that church would know. She had sung it beside Raymond in the front pew years ago.
He held the hymnal for me because my hands were too small to hold it steady. His voice was the only one that sounded like home.
She didn't sing. She just listened. And for a long, suspended moment, the distance between the car and the chapel shrank to nothing. Then the hymn ended. The chapel fell silent, and the real weight of the afternoon settled back onto her shoulders. The silence didn't last. The organist pressed the first chord of another hymn. It was the one Raymond always requested, an old Swedish tune with a weight that pressed against the chest.
He hummed it every morning in the shop, sanding the edges of a chair or planing a plank.
She was 17 again, sitting on the shop stool, watching his worn hands move in rhythm with the melody. He would look over and wink, never missing a stroke of the chisel.
I can't sing, but I can mouth the words. He'd know.
Her lips formed the silent syllables, a private tribute behind the glass.
I am here, Grandpa, right where you'd want me.
The music built, and for a moment, she wasn't in the car at all. She was in the front pew, his arm around her. Then the congregation inside stood for the reading. She opened her eyes, the parking lot still empty. Her cheeks wet. The pastor's voice carried through the open windows, solemn and practiced. Raymond was a man of quiet faith and steady hands. He began to list the surviving family. Grandchildren, Sarah, Michael, David, and the youngest, Emma. Then he paused.
He didn't say my name. The church is hearing a version of this family that doesn't include me.
And we are grateful for the family that stayed close, the ones who truly honored his last years.
She might as well have said my name out loud. The one grandchild who doesn't belong.
A soft murmur of agreement rippled through the chapel. Ashley's fingers curled into the fabric of her dress.
I was the one who made him laugh when the treatments got hard. I was the one who knew his coffee order.
The eulogy moved on, the pastor turning to a story from Raymond's Woodworking Guild. Ashley's hands fell limp. She stared at the chapel doors and felt the full weight of erasure. Not just from the funeral, but from the story of the man she loved.
I was his too, Grandpa. I'll always be yours.
The choir began a soft, a cappella hymn, their voices floating through the stained glass. Ashley reached into her coat pocket and drew out the letter. Still creased, still warm from her body heat, she read past the opening lines, deeper into the folded paper. Your mother's troubles were never your fault. You were not a burden. You were my blessing.
All these years I blamed myself for things I couldn't control. He's absolving me now.
Her eyes moved down the page, tracing the elegant loops of his handwriting. At the end, the words she had already memorized but needed to hear again. Do not let them make you believe you were anything less than my whole heart. She pressed the paper to her chest, holding it there as if it could shield her from the world outside.
He knew. He knew exactly what they'd do.
The choir rose to a crescendo. Her lips moved silently, shaping a word she hadn't said in years. Thank you. The hymn faded, and the pastor's voice returned to lead the closing prayer. The service was almost over. Inside the chapel, the pastor raised his hands. Let us pray. The congregation bowed as one. His voice carried through the stone. In the sure and certain hope of resurrection, we commit Raymond to God's eternal care. Outside, Ashley closed her eyes. She bowed her head over the steering wheel, lips moving in a prayer she hadn't said since childhood.
Even if they erased my name from the service, I know you heard mine, God.
The organist pressed the first note of the recessional, a soft, ascending line that seemed to lift the air. One by one, the mourners rose. The shuffle of feet and quiet murmurs began. Ashley opened her eyes. Through the windshield, the chapel doors remained closed, but she knew the ceremony was over.
Now what? I've held on, but I can't just drive away.
The organ played on. The parking lot remained still. She did not turn the key. The funeral was over, but her goodbye was not. She waited, not knowing why, as if something unfinished still held her there. The chapel doors swung wide open. The congregation spilled into the golden light, a slow river of black wool and quiet murmurs. Carolyn emerged first among the family, her composed face scanning the lot. Her eyes landed on the sedan under the oak. For a single, suspended second, their eyes met through the windshield. Ashley didn't flinch. Then Carolyn turned away, deliberately, dismissively, and pulled her black shawl tighter around her shoulders. The other relatives trailed behind. Ashley's uncle passed without a glance, muttering something about getting lunch.
Not even a nod. I am invisible to them.
A few older women from the church squinted toward the car, curious, then were led gently away by their husbands. The parking lot began to empty. Car doors slammed. Engines turned over. The space around her widened until she was the only one left under the oak, inside the Ave booth. A gentle old man named Edward finished pressing buttons. He looked out the small window and saw the one car still there. Ashley gripped the steering wheel. The organ had gone silent. Only the ticking of the cooling engine broke the stillness. Edward finished at the soundboard and glanced out the booth's narrow window. The chapel was silent now. Only one car remained under the oak. A woman with honey blonde hair sat motionless inside.
Blonde hair, alone, still as stone, just the way Raymond described her.
He took an old photo from his pocket. The same face, a decade younger, smiled at him from Raymond's workshop. On the back, in fading ink, Ashley, my light, look for her after I am gone. Rar.
If you see a blonde woman sitting outside my funeral, that's Ashley. Bring her in. I've prepared something for her. She needs to hear it alone, after the crowd leaves.
You were right, old friend. They left her out there, but I won't let her leave until she hears you.
He slipped the photo into his sweater vest. Then he turned and walked softly toward the side door. 6 months he'd carried that photo, and that promise. Now, it was time to fulfill the last wish of a carpenter who never forgot the girl who needed him most. Edward pushed open the side door and stepped into the fading light. The parking lot stretched empty except for the sedan.
A figure moved near the chapel. Her heart lurched, not Carolyn, but someone older, softer.
He walked with a gentle certainty, his shoes crunching on the gravel. Ashley's breath caught in her throat.
Who is that? He's coming straight from my car.
Edward neared the driver's side. His face was kind, etched with years. He raised a hand and tapped twice on the glass. The sound cut through the silence. Ashley flinched, then stared at the old man standing beside her window.
I don't know him, but his eyes, they look like Grandpa's friend from the guild photos.
Edward gave a small, reassuring smile and gestured for her to lower the window. She hesitated, her hand hovering over the button. Then she pressed it, the glass sliding down with a soft hum. Cool afternoon air rushed in. Edward leaned slightly toward the opening, his voice quiet and careful.
My name is Edward. I was Raymond's friend from the guild. He asked me to look out for you today.
Look out for me? I don't understand.
Edward pulled a worn photograph from his vest. Ashley at 16, smiling in the workshop, and handed it through the window.
Raymond came to me 6 months ago. He recorded a video message for you, Ashley, only for you.
A video? He made me a video?
Ashley stared at the photo, then back at Edward. The edges of her world blurred.
He knew his children might try to shut you out, but he wanted you to have something no one could take away. Come inside the chapel. It's empty now. No one else has to know.
If this is true, he planned for today. Even when he was dying, he was taking care of me.
He told me to bring you in if I saw you. I've held on to that instruction for half a year. Please.
Ashley glanced from the chapel to Edward, her eyes still wet. The steering wheel felt cold under her fingers.
How do I know this isn't another family trick? They've lied to me for years.
Edward held Raymond's photograph steady. The girl in the picture smiled just like the woman before him.
This is the real thing, Ashley. He recorded it in his workshop, just for you. I give you my word.
He was the only one who never lied. If there's even a chance to hear his voice again.
She reached for the folded letter on the passenger seat and tucked it deeper into her coat pocket. The car door swung open, and her heel touched the gravel for the first time that afternoon. Edward extended his hand, a quiet gesture. She took it for a moment, then let go to walk on her own.
The chapel's empty. Take all the time you need. I'll wait outside.
She looked once more at the oak tree where her car still sat, then stepped through the doorway into the silence. The chapel's air was still, smelling of old wood and candle wax. All mourners had gone. A large projection screen hung from the balcony, stark against the altar. Edward moved toward the Ave booth.
Take the front pew, Ashley. He wanted you to see it from there.
She walked the aisle, heels clicking on stone. The same aisle she was told she couldn't walk. Edward dimmed the lights and handed her a small remote, its single button smooth under her thumb.
Whenever you are ready, I'll wait outside.
He slipped out, the door closing with a soft click, sealing her in with the dark screen and her heartbeat.
The closest I've been to him all day. And now I am terrified to press play.
She held the remote in her lap, the blank screen reflecting her face, a ghost in the gloom. Her thumb rested on the button but didn't press. She needed one more breath. Ashley pressed the button. The screen flickered once. Then static gave way to warm light, and the workshop appeared.
Hello, Ashley. If you are watching this, then I am already home.
His voice, worn and kind, filled the chapel. Ashley's hand flew to her mouth.
I am making this video 6 months before I go, because I've got a few things to say, and I know my children might not let you be there.
He knew. He really knew.
I want you to know, Ashley, you were the light of my life. Raising you was the greatest honor this old carpenter ever had.
He paused, wiping his eye. The workshop behind him held the same shavings and tools she remembered.
Grandpa.
Your aunts and uncles, they never understood what you meant to me. If they've shut you out today, I am sorry. That's on them, not you.
The video filled the silence where the organ had been, a private eulogy, spoken straight to her.
There's something else, Ashley. The lake cabin, the one we summered in when you were little. It's yours now. I had a Tau D deed drawn up. It'll go straight to you, bypassing everything. No one else can touch it. 3 words, Ashley. My father gave them to me when I was your age. Live, forgive, create, live your life fully. Forgive those who hurt you, even if they don't deserve it, and create something beautiful every single day.
He lowered his hand. Behind him, the workshop light caught the grain of the wood on the bench.
You remind me so much of my own mother. She was tough, kind, and never stopped making things with her hands.
I'll try, Grandpa. I promise.
I love you, sweetheart, more than you'll ever know. Goodbye.
The screen faded to black. The chapel fell into silence, heavy with all the words she'd finally been allowed to hear. She didn't move. The screen was dark, but his voice still echoed in her chest. Then the side door opened softly, and Edward stepped inside, carrying a small wooden box.
He wanted you to have this, the cabin key, and a copy of the video.
She took the box, her fingers brushing the smooth wood, the same kind Raymond used to carve.
Thank you, Edward. I don't know how to thank you.
Just remember him. That's all he wanted.
She hugged the old man briefly. The box pressed between them. Then she walked out the side door into the dusk. The parking lot was empty, but she wasn't alone anymore. She looked back once, the chapel's windows glowing with the last of the sunset. Then she drove away, the wooden box on the passenger seat, and the letter still warm against her heart. The next morning, a text from an unknown number. Ashley, this is Christopher Brown, Raymond's attorney. There's something he wanted me to give you. Please call when you can.
Thank you for calling so quickly. I'd prefer to show you in person. Can you come to my office this afternoon?
An hour later, she sat across from him, a thick folder on the mahogany desk.
Raymond was a meticulous man. He set up a trust for you, funding it over 10 years. The assets total $180,000.
He was never rich, just careful. And he gave me everything he could hide away.
He did it silently. No one else in the family knows. The trust is irrevocable. No one can challenge it.
He passed her the trust document. Her name stood at the top, beneath Raymond's signature.
I didn't just lose a grandfather. I had a guardian angel who never stopped providing.
She signed a few forms, her hand steady. The pen scratched like a chisel on wood outside. She breathed the cool afternoon air, the trust papers folded in her coat, beside the letter. The key was a gift. This was a future. A week later, she drove to the lake. The brass key fit the lock, and the cabin door swung open to the scent of pine. On the mantel, beneath a small carved heart, lay an envelope in his handwriting. The note inside said only, "Make this your home, sweetheart."
I will, Grandpa. I'll make it a place you'd be proud of.
Every year on his birthday, she knelt by his grave and left a small wooden bird, carved by her own hand. Over time, a tiny flock of them gathered on the stone, each one a year of love she couldn't let fade. 5 years after the funeral, she sent invitations to her aunts and uncles for a dinner at the cabin. She set the table for 8. At 6 o'clock, no one arrived. She lit the candles anyway. She ate her meal in the quiet, looking out at the lake, and realized she wasn't waiting anymore. His grave was always her first stop each year. The wood piece is a place she could still give something back. And on the cabin wall, a small wooden plaque carried the words he gave her. Live, forgive, create.